Hello. I am recording. This is like the long version of this story. There is also going to be a short version, but I figured I would give myself the freedom to start with the long version because that is my natural inclination. And I hope you can see me okay. I know the sun is behind me, but I thought it would be so nice for you to see the beautiful ocean behind me. So that's what I'm prioritizing, you being able to see. It's like such a gorgeous sunny day out. Okay, so what drew me to sharing and creating this video for you was an experience that I had this morning, and it was a really great example for me of recognizing I want to say just how far I've come. But life is such a learning process, and sometimes I think it can be easy to kind of gloss over the various steps along the way. We kind of almost get accomplishment amnesia. So anyway, but this I had a really funny experience this morning, which also reminded me that I would have responded to that experience probably quite differently a few years ago. So I wanted to share with you. So let's dive in. So I love growing. I love prioritizing my personal growth and being able to enjoy more and more what feels to me like self-fulfillment, where I'm being true to myself and really helping to dismantle patterns that no longer serve me, and that kind of thing. And this is like my lifelong journey, both on the receiving end, and this is also work that I love to support other people with. But this story in particular is like me on the receiving end of this experience. So I was taking some courageous action. Actually, here, before I took the courageous action, I realized that an opportunity presented itself where I had the wherewithal to be able to recognize that how I normally would respond to this situation didn't feel aligned anymore. I'd already clarified that I didn't want to keep doing this. And so but this was, I think, like maybe my first time. I don't know. Certainly it felt like very weird. So not my typical response. So anyway, so I was able to recognize that I had the opportunity to make a really conscious choice as to how I was going to respond to the situation. And I put my brave panties on, and I was like, okay, here we go, walking the talk, just doing the hard thing. And by hard, I don't mean like I'm beating my head against the wall, but just hard as in, kind of bravely stepping into some uncharted territory, in direct opposition to like what the gremlins want me to do, i.e., that part of my brain that just wants to keep me safe, repeating patterns from the past, even if they might no longer seem relevant, because it knows that those patterns are survivable. And thank you, gremlins. I get to put them in the back seat while I stay firmly planted in the driver's seat. So I offered this response in this situation. It was an email, it's so funny because I really surprised myself that it seemed like it should be like no big deal, because it really, in the grand scheme of it all, nobody was going to die as a result of it going one way or the other or anything like that. So but I went through that process, and afterwards, I just felt so, my whole nervous system was so fired up. I was so freaked out. I was like literally like kind of shaky and just like, you know, feeling super panicky, all of that good stuff. And, you know, and I wanted to leave my own coach a little voice message so that she could hear like how excited that I was that I had like taken this courageous step and in, you know, implementing some of the new pattern that I'm working on creating for my own life. And yeah, wow. And like I couldn't even leave her a voice message because I've had this feeling like, oh my gosh, someone like might overhear me and like judge me about it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I know that is like ridiculous. And I'm just gonna like type it out, go a little easy on myself. And so, yeah, so I got to share my celebration with her. Hooray. And what I was noticing, just like reflecting as, you know, I think I finished off that message by saying, you know, okay, I'm going to put my phone down now and just like breathe. And what I was noticing as I had put my phone down and was just breathing was that, you know, a few years ago, I wouldn't have known that freakadoutedness, that it was okay. You know, now I know that it's part of the growth cycle. Anytime we're like stretching ourselves outside of our comfort zone, it's very normal for the body to respond by being a bit freaked out. As we are, you know, establishing new neural pathways, and certainly as we are disregarding old patterns that have been really well established, it can certainly feel like it's a matter of survival, even if we know logically that, you know, no one's going to die and that we're not going to die and that we will survive this situation, like however it turns out. It's amazing how our nervous system can just get so fired up about it. And that doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. And in fact, like in this case, like I could clearly see that it was actually positive reinforcement that I was doing a good thing, you know, that I was stepping out of this cycle that was really well established for a really long time, and, you know, stepping into a more authentic version of myself. And even though that can feel terrifying, it also can feel very liberating. And I was like so excited and so proud of myself for having taken this action. And yeah, and so I wanted to share it with you both, so that, you know, just with the empathy and compassion that, you know, sometimes when we are repatterning things, when we are creating a new pattern, especially one that is quite different from a pattern that has been really long, well established, it can be quite a courageous act to do so. And part of that process may involve, you know, parts of your neurology, parts of your nervous system, you know, putting up that whole fight or flight response as though your very survival might depend on it, even if you logically know that, you know, you definitely will survive either way. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that to, just in case if ever, you know, if as you are doing your own growth work and shifting some of your own, you know, patterns that may have served you for a time, you know, and that's why they were created in the first place. But now you're in a place where you recognize that they no longer serve you and you would like to, you know, act differently and behave differently and feel differently. You know, I just wanted to offer that you're not alone if it feels a little freaky. Yeah, and also that if ever you have, you know, thought about, you know, trying to step into a more authentic version of yourself, and you just totally get consumed by the gremlin speak. Like, who are you to think that you could do that? And like, you know, oh my gosh, you're gonna get in so much trouble, or whatever, you know, whatever they're saying. Yeah, so just also to know that it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, hopefully it doesn't mean that you're going to die. You know, you are very most likely, you know, I can't speak for all of your situations ever, but most likely you're not actually going to die, as much as parts of you might be saying otherwise. And if it feels really freaky and your body's freaking out, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong, you know? And I think within myself, there is a distinction that I was able to feel in my body where, like, whoa, yes, I was definitely freaked out, but also it was like there was an excitement about it too. Like there was a big part of me that was just like, oh my gosh, I can do it. I can do this. Yeah, so it's very liberating. So yeah, so I would love to hear what's resonating with you with this video. If you have a story from your own experience to share, you know, I'd love to hear it. If you feel like it would, you know, it sparked some curiosity around what it might be like to receive some support for yourself as you're going through some of these processes for yourself, like, oh my gosh, I just have to say, you know, receiving support during this process is like, it makes all the difference. At least in my experience, it definitely has made all the difference. And I'm so grateful for the support that I have on the receiving end. And I'm so honored to be working with people to help support them through these processes, as well as they really, you know, as you get to step into your authenticity and like, wow, what would the world be like if we all just got to be, you know, who we really want to be, who our heart and soul is like calling us to be, and we're able to like break through those like fears that hold us back. And yeah, so I that's just what I'm so excited about. And yeah, and maybe if you're watching this, you are as well. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me here. As always, if you would rather private message me, you can always email me, dove@meadowdove.ca. That's DOVE at MEADOWDOVE.ca. And I'll leave it in the comments below as well. All right, I hope you are having a beautiful day, and I look forward to next time. Mwah.